In this video, I want to talk about someone named Benardo Kastrup, and he is a scientist with two PhDs. I believe he has one in, I believe it's computer science. I don't know if that's 100% for sure, but I believe the other one is in psychology. I've been watching his videos pretty often lately. I've watched him before. He's sort of made commentary on specific articles that talk about psychedelics and what's going on with consciousness or I guess with the brain and consciousness. And I've been watching his videos a little bit more just because I've been trying to sort of get to the bottom of what's going on with the psychedelic experience and just what's going on with consciousness in general. And I really like his sort of shtick that he's trying to argue for, because he has a background in, I believe he worked at CERN, so he's a legit scientist and a very smart, intelligent guy, and it's really awesome to see him sort of get a lot more exposure with, he's been doing a lot of debates and talks with all sorts of people in the academic sort of community and everything. And I've just been watching his debates with materialists and everything. And so far he's been, he's definitely impressed me. I really like what he has to say. He's been arguing for something called, I believe it's metaphysical idealism. So I might butcher the concept, but it's basically saying that all of experience is basically mind or is consciousness. He's arguing with materialists and physicalists that basically believe that everything is or consciousness arrives from material processes, but he has debates about the hard problem of consciousness and how can you get certain things like being able to experience smells or see the color red and know what that feels like. I believe they call it qualia. Just how do you get all of those subjective experiences from purely mechanical processes, and he's made analogies about let's say using or creating a huge network of just pipes with water pushing certain things, and he said that like how is it possible that you can create something so complex like that and then eventually consciousness and subjective experience arises from that. It doesn't seem to really track in that way, and I feel as if that's a very important thing to sort of focus on, because I personally don't feel like we would be able to create conscious experience from artificial intelligence and things like that. I think that consciousness is something else. Maybe it's fundamental, maybe it's something that isn't a emergent property of just complexity. So he basically says that consciousness is kind of like some sort of infinite ocean of some sort, and every time that someone is alive, or any time life basically comes up in the world, it's kind of, he described it, I believe, as a whirlpool in the ocean, and that causes a dissociative effect on the, I guess you would call it overmind or source or God, whatever label you want to use it, and that is basically what happens when someone is alive, is that they end up having a subjective experience and are able to sort of analyze themselves, and they're not sort of connected to the overall thing. But once people die, they just basically cycle back into that overmind, and I don't know if it's supposed to basically say that a reincarnation is a thing, or I think there's a lot of open questions about it, but overall, I really liked the concept just because it definitely resonates with me, because I'm someone that doesn't really I don't really like the idea of materialism and physicalism, because the concept that we're just sort of bags of meat, with no sort of meaning and no reason to exist. It's almost scary to me. Like I really want to know if there is some sort of transcendental nature to reality, and I really feel like people that are arguing with or debating with legit academic scientists and stuff about these certain things that I have suspicions of, it really keeps me hopeful, I think. I know that with my psychedelic experiences, anytime I take it, it really feels as if that is true, just because I can, obviously with the DMT experience, it's just mind-blowing and out of this world, and it just doesn't at all seem as if a brain could generate that, because it's not just noise that you're seeing. It's constructed and highly detailed, but also, since I'm an artist, I kind of I have an eye for sort of recognizing sort of different artistic styles, I think, and the thing that really jumps out to me is that the visions that I'm seeing have a specific style to it. There's a specific sort of I guess architecture to it of some sort. It's as if a artist or a very amazing architect or something, some sort of genius was the one behind it, and the person that actually created it. And that doesn't really seem far off based on my experiences, just because I don't see how you can get that from just random noise. Imagine looking at white noise and trying to just sort of get some ultra complex, beautiful, painting or whatever from it. And that's not to say that white noise isn't something that's actually necessary or useful, because in my past videos I've talked about how that noise aspect is vital for creativity, and how we see patterns in noise, and that is literally how the sort of schizophrenic brain works, but also how the genius brain works, because it can sort of pick out just really abstract ideas out of noise, and some of them might be nonsense, but some of them might actually have some sort of coherency to it. And it's interesting, because he talked about how the fundamental revelation that holds true in these experiences is that there's a type of oneness to us, and there's a type of connection to all of us. You know how they say we're all one? He believes that there's a reason why that revelation is so prominent with it. But he also talks about how a lot of ideas that people get from the psychedelic experience is something that doesn't really need to be trusted all that much, because a lot of it is just a narrative that the brain is making. Because he says that the brain or the mind is making a narrative about the default world, and it does the same thing in the psychedelic experience. So you might believe that you're an alien or something in the experience, and I've had those experiences where I feel as if I'm from some other planet of some sort, but apparently that is basically our brain or our mind sort of coming in contact with noise, and it creates a scenario where you can live in a fantasy that actually is experienced as being real, but it might not necessarily be objective to everyone else, because there's a different narrative going on in everyone's mind. So it might be real and true to you, but that doesn't necessarily have anything to say about the outside world. But I think that is important, because me as an artist, I can't live without living in a type of fantasy world, because that's part of where my creativity comes from is making use of that white noise and being able to live in a sort of fantasy world, and how it basically makes me sane and not schizophrenic is that I am aware of the objective reality that everyone else is sort of living in, and then I'm aware of the reality that I am sort of creating. And even though mine can seem really immersive and real, I know that it doesn't really mean anything to the outside world. And his ideas about that, I have also sort of alluded to those types of ideas. And this really made me start thinking about the whole UFO idea, or the whole UFO concept, because I know Terence McKenna talked about how he had a bit of a Jungian perspective on it, on that it on one hand it is something that is psychological, or something that is in the mind, and it's part of I guess our psyche, that we can basically it's supposed to represent something about some sort of yearning for the transcendental, and that, or some sort of yearning for a better ordered world than the one we have now, because a lot of the time Terence McKenna talked about the there's too much of a masculine type energy in the world as of now in terms of our culture, and that you really need the feminine counterpart to sort of balance that out, to give it to sort of get it in a more equilibrium. And I think that he believed the UFO to be the other counterbalance, trying to basically bring more order to what we are experiencing right now. And I know that Terence McKenna didn't say that the UFO wasn't a physical object. He just said that it has a psychological element to it.
Saying that the flying saucer is a psychic object does not mean that it is not a physical object. Jung in Mysterium Conjunctionis is at great pains to say that the realm of the psychic and the realm of the physical meet in a strange kind of never-never land that we have yet to create the intellectual tools to explore. This is where the mystery of synchronicity is going to come to rest, the mystery of all kinds of paranormal activity on the part of human beings, and the mystery of the flying saucer. It's interesting, you see, that if you take the broad world of the so-called mysteries, parapsychological, shamanic, extraterrestrial, so forth, and hypothesize another spatial dimension, one more spatial dimension, then suddenly all these mysteries become trivial. They are easily done. Locked boxes are opened, future events are discerned, lost objects are found. This sort of thing becomes quite the ordinary run of things if we hypothesize dimensions hidden from ordinary experience.
And of course there's serious...
And I think that really ties into a lot of what Benardo has been talking about. So, I obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Terence McKenna since way back. So, I mean, Terence McKenna is the reason why I got into psychedelics. But, I've sort of explored other teachers and other ideas and stuff, and all of these teachers have really sort of stayed with me throughout my whole journey, and I'm really sort of grateful for them, and I'm happy to learn of new people like Benardo. I really appreciate the work that he's doing, and I hope he's successful with the worldviews that he's arguing for. I really do believe that those ones are just a lot more eloquent and beautiful compared to materialism, because there's something sort of dark and cold about materialism that I've never really sort of resonated with, just because maybe it's not part of my personality. But that's pretty much what I wanted to share. you guys got to check out Bernardo. He's a great dude. Oh yeah, I should mention that he also talked about how psychedelics, when they were examining it, they basically posted a article about how they light up the brain, and that's supposed to show how it's materialism is basically proven because it's causing the brain to light up when they take a psychedelic. But he was basically arguing that they completely misrepresented the article, and that it actually showed a decrease in activity, and that would correlate more with the ideas that he's been speaking about. And this is something that I actually originally found him from, was him sort of debating with someone on that premise. I don't exactly know what the conclusion was, but by the looks of it, he still seems to be arguing for that concept. So I think it's really really interesting. I don't really have the knowledge or the background to be able to figure out, who's right on that. But it's really interesting that there's a debate going on about that, and it's not really clear what the actual truth is, since there's argument between people. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Check him out. He's really awesome. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll probably post one within the next week. And yeah, so I'll see you later. Peace out.